Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel in the Game Changer. This is our second video in English today to talk about Bayern Munich. I think they deserve it. 16 wins in a row, leaders in Bundesliga and also in Champions League, showing great performances in the last games. And well, they are a interesting team. We'll talk about them because they have many tactical tweaks this season compared to last season. So yeah, obviously the signings of great players like Luis Diaz or Nico Jackson, for example, I think they can help them a lot to succeed this season. And yeah, let's start. Let's dive in this Bayern Munich. Let's go to Germany to analyze Bayern Munich. Let's talk about the lineup first. We can see here kind of a 4-2-2-2, let's say like this, or 4-2-4, where they use the fullbacks in the half spaces, where they use two midfielders. They use Kane and Gnabry as false nines. We will talk about them later. And then two wingers, Luis Diaz and Olise. The two center backs are Ta and Upamecano. Usually, Kim can also come in. In the midfield, Goretzka for Pavlovic also can be an option. But usually, also in case of fullbacks, Leimer can also play in the right side, and Stanisic comes to the left back as a inverted or wrong-footed fullback. We will talk about this issue also later. Yeah, Neuer as a goalkeeper, and well, this is a bit the most common starting lineup. We can see here already some of their offensive intentions with the fullbacks in the half spaces, with Kane dropping very very deep usually, and with the wingers usually wide and ready to attack the space in behind. Let's go and let's talk about 10 concepts about Bayern Munich.
El fútbol está cambiando y nosotros queremos que formes parte de este cambio. En The Game Changer estamos construyendo la comunidad de reflexión más completa sobre el juego. Análisis, entrevistas, mentorías y acceso directo a profesionales. Si eres entrenador, analista, jugador o un apasionado, sin dudas este es tu lugar. Únete ahora a thegamechanger.es y usa el código TGCLAB10 para tu descuento exclusivo. No te quedes fuera y únete a The Game Changer.
We will start. The first one is about the midfielders, especially on the left side. This is something they do in the left side. They don't do it in the right side. We will explain why they do it in the left side, but it's the midfielders moving wide when Bayern is switching play. We'll see. Take a look here at the midfielder. In this case, Pavlovic. I have seen Goretzka doing it also many times. When there's a chance to switch play, he starts moving towards wide areas. In this case, as a left fullback, let's say, because Leimer is inside and a bit higher up. And we see how Kimmich drops and then gives balance to the team. Of course, if Pavlovic is outside of the opposition structure, you need one player inside to give this balance in case you lose the ball and for these passing options inside also. But look how they find Pavlovic free, because it's a very difficult situation to defend. No one knows from Dortmund who has to take Pavlovic, and then they are able to progress. We'll see now another example. Here is the same. Take a look again at Pavlovic moving wide. You can see Dortmund. There's a bit of confusion between the players of Dortmund. They don't know who has to take Pavlovic in this case. And look at Kimmich, how he reacts to give balance inside. Another example. Again, the same in this game against Chelsea. Look how Pavlovic moves wide, and how Malo Gusto, in this case, he needs to sprint because it's a long distance for him to step into Pavlovic, having here time and space to take a good decision, and also being in a good body position to play options inside. And we will explain this later because Pavlovic, the left midfielder moving wide, or Goretzka, gives space for Kane to drop in. This is something Bayern looks to do all the time. And look how, in this case, is the fullback. We'll explain about the fullbacks also later, how they attack the half space. Again, in this case, it's Goretzka. And look at Kane taking his position and how he's Bayern able to find Kane inside. He ends up playing back, but yeah, this is a common. Let's see it again. This clip is interesting also. You see, when there is a chance to switch play, Goretzka is already moving wide. He knows there's something that the company and his staff, they are working on this because you can see that already both midfielders, Pavlovic and Goretzka, the left midfielder, because in the right there's usually Kimmich, they anticipate always these kind of situations. Let's go now about the wingers 1v1 situations. It's something also very, very, very common. In last season, they already doing it with Olise, with Coman, with Nabri. So it's quite. It was quite normal already last season. These balls into the space for the wingers. Take a look. Starting the build-up starts with Upamecano, one of the center backs, and how Olise, when he sees a chance to attack the space in behind, he takes it. Of course, both wingers, Olise and Luis Diaz, have the speed to do it, and this is a difficult ball for fullbacks to defend, especially if they do a first movement of dragging them a bit, coming a bit deeper to ask for the ball into the feet and then attack the space. Another example. Take a look. This one is interesting clip because see how Bayern are able to find Kane dropping deep, almost like a midfielder. But look at Luis Diaz here in the left side, attacking the space in behind. He's also a big threat for Bayern. Third one, let's now talk about Kane dropping deep. We are already anticipating this. But yeah, we need to understand that for Kane to drop deep, Bayern, what they do is try to balance this by using one of the midfielders close to the center backs or in wide areas, but in the first line, let's say like this. So then what they do is they open the center for Kane to drop in, because if both midfielders are in their usual positions in midfield zones, then there's no space for Kane maybe to drop in. But in this case, between Kimmich or the other midfielder, Goretzka or Pavlovic, they always try to balance this. So if Kimmich, who usually also drops in the right side between fullback and center back, then Goretzka or Pavlovic, they stay more central, but then there's still space for Kane to drop in. But sometimes, as we've seen before, they do it, Kimmich stays central, and then one of the left midfielders is the one who goes wide. But there's still space for Kane to drop in. We see, again, in this case, Kimmich as a midfielder is in the right center-back space. Let's say that they are doing a line of three, and Upamecano is central and Tai in the left. and Kane is dropping deep. In this case, he's not going to, as we see, this creates problems for Dortmund. You see, because the center back, in this case, if I'm not wrong, is Sule, don't want to follow Kane that far. So Kane ends up free. You see, Sule decides that, hey, this is too far for me. Also, because if you leave this space behind Sule, there are players like Nico Jackson, like Olise or Luis Diaz, that they can attack this space and they are very dangerous in man-to-man situations. In this case, Kane doesn't play this ball to Luis Diaz, which could be a great ball also, because you see all the space Luis Diaz has to attack, and he has an advantage, obviously, because he's also very fast. But in this case, Kane plays a diagonal ball to Olise. It's something that Kane looks a lot also, these diagonal balls to Olise. Another example, we see Kimmich in the right side again, and Kane dropping, receiving the ball, and playing a diagonal ball to Olise. One more, same, Kimmich in the right side. This is important also to understand why Kimmich drops to this space a lot. This is because also defensively, when Bayern defends in a more mid-low block, also Kimmich usually stays in this kind of position to defend the half space. And Bayern at some point defends in a 5-4-1. We'll see this later. Again, we see Kane dropping. And Laimer finding. This is the clip we saw before where he finds Luis Diaz into the space. I also put it here because it's also Kane dropping deep. Let's go with the fourth concept. It's about the double false nine, I will call them, because of course Kane is dropping more deep, even in the midfield positions, than the other striker. But Nico Jackson or Gnabry, more Gnabry than Nico Jackson, but in this game against Dortmund, Nico Jackson was playing. We can see how both strikers, they act like as a double false nine, dropping very, very deep and provoking the center backs to take a decision or follow or stay. If they follow, then there's space for Luis Diaz or Olise to attack in behind. If they don't follow, you can create a numerical superiority inside with them. Let's see some examples. You can see Kane in Nico Jackson. How the center back is hesitating if should I follow, should I not follow? But see what they do after this. Laimer, the left fullback, push up. And Luis Diaz, this already creates a 2v1 against the opposition fullback. Because the winger didn't follow Laimer, so then Laimer has a 2v1 against Luis Diaz, and Luis Diaz understands this well by attacking the space in behind that the center back left because he went to press Nico Jackson. So Nico Jackson dragged the center back out of position, creating this space for Luis Diaz to attack at the end. Great chance. This reminds us a bit about De Chervi, no, and his ideas. Not now in Olympique Marseille, it's a bit different. Sometimes they still do it, but especially in Brighton, no, about using both strikers to drop deep and then attack the space in behind with the wingers. Remember, in Brighton he had players like Mitoma who were also very dangerous to attack the space in behind. This makes sense with the players you have, having a player like Kane who likes to drop deep and who can combine in tight spaces and help the team to progress. And then you have very fast and dangerous wingers like Olise or Luis Diaz. Again, we see the same. In this case, Pavlovic was playing a bit more higher up, like as a badge midfielder, second striker, say it however you want. But he was also playing in this role of the double false nine. And we see very clear Pavlovic and Kane with Luis Diaz in the left and Olise in the right. In this case, I think Goretzka was playing more deep midfielder with Kimmich. We can see this combination because this one especially reminds me a lot of the Chervis Brighton. This short combination between the two midfielders to then find the players between the lines. Last example, against Chelsea also. We can see here Kane and Gnabry. You can see this box in midfield, let's say like this. In this case, Kimmich and Kane very, very deep, and Pavlovic and Gnabry a bit more higher up. But let's focus also in Leimer in the right side as a fullback. Take a look, because this is one of the ideas they also use that I like. We will speak about fullbacks now in the next concept, but take a look how Leimer tries to attack the space in behind, because the two, I don't know, one I think is Caicedo and the other one is one of Chelsea's centre backs, are following the Gnabry, are following Pavlovic here, are following Kane. So then there is a space in behind to attack. And Leimer understands this very well, and they create problems against many teams with this idea. Not only with the wingers, also with the fullbacks from attacking from behind. Ending up in these kind of positions more dynamically than not just staying higher. They arrive to these zones. Let's go to the fifth concept. Sorry about my English. I know it's not perfect. I still need a lot to improve in pronunciation and this, but hopefully it's good enough to understand me. So now this next concept, I want to talk about the wrong-footed fullbacks. No, it's something that Bayern has been using, especially with Leimer. But also we have seen Stanisic play in the left back, who is also right-footed, and we have seen also Rafael Guerreiro on the right side as a right fullback, who is left-footed. So why are Bayern using wrong-footed players in fullback positions? We will explain it now. Take a look. So first of all, look the positioning of Leimer. Leimer is like 10 meters to the sideline, but it's not on the sideline. So this already gives him a bit more of better passing lines inside, and he doesn't give the option to the opposition to close him down, because he also has the option to play the winger if he can, and at the same time his body position. Take a look how his first touch is already inside, so he has a lot of options to play inside. But the best option, and that's one of the reasons companies using Leimer in the left side, is this connection with Kane. So with a left-footed player, if Dortmund will guide them outside, this player will have more problems to connect with Kane. But on this case, the connection with Kane is very smooth. Take a look how connect with Kane, and then of course Kane is a elite player, top player. He can beat players in 1v1 situations or turn and help the team progress very easily, even in tight, very, very tight spaces, and taking risk like in this situation. And look later how ends up finding Leimer in this approach of arriving to the zone, not staying in the zone. And now Bayern has a nice situation to attack. Another example, we see again, same. Look the body position of Leimer. This is important. First touch with his left, always. And he has all the feel for him. He has options. You can see how has an option, I think, is with Kane inside, with the opposite midfielder, and also with Luis Diaz in this case. And look how ends up finding Luis Diaz between the lines, and now Bayern is able to attack in a 3v3 situation against Chelsea. One example more. We can see again Leimer. We can see Leimer already in the half space. We will speak in the next video about the half space role, the half space fullbacks. But we see another example of Leimer, how he has the option outside, but in this case, I think it's the Dortmund's wingback who steps to him, steps like closing the passing line outside, so he has an option inside, and ends up finding here, I think is Pavlovic, who is able to find Kane, and then Kane switch play to Olise. This is something that Kane likes to do a lot, to play this kind of balls to Olise. And let's go now with the half space fullbacks. We have here the game against PSG, a game that I recommend you to watch, especially the first half. Take a look how Stanisic moves from this half space. One of the things I like from the half space fullbacks is that in case, for example, in case Kane will lose the ball now, which can happen, Stanisic is not higher up. He's just in a position where he can help the team in the defensive transition. But as he's the same, arriving dynamically. It's like the modern football. We have seen also City doing this now, and Aston Villa, for example. So the fullbacks arriving. This is a good example. When Stanisic sees that Kane has time and space to turn, he gives this passing line and helps the team to progress in the half space with wingers giving the width. Luis Diaz and Olise. Look, another example of Bayern ending up in good zones to finish with a goal. This doesn't end up in a goal, but almost. Another example, same. Leimer receiving in the half space. And see how he moves higher up. And this is important also because with this movement, what he does is open a straight passing line for Olise to receive. At the end, Bayern has top-class players in wide zones like Luis Diaz and Olise, and creating this kind of context where they can receive more balls to the feet is great for them. So look how Leimer drags Pedro Neto, in this case, I think, with him, and he opens this straight passing line. If Leimer will stay here, maybe Pedro Neto can close him down and at the same time close this passing line with Olise. But by moving here, you see, Olise can receive free. They change. You can see how they change here, Cucurella and Pedro Neto. But already, Bayern has an option to progress through Olise, and Olise is a great player who can drive inside, who can find solutions, and you have already brought the ball from Upamecano to Olise, who is in a better position. See how at the end, this is something common last season also, the inverted wingers or wrong-footed wingers also is Luis Diaz and Olise. They also they always cut inside and look for options to combine there or to finish the action. But it's very common also this in Bayern. Last season was already. Another example, here I'm not sure if it's Kane again. Yeah, it's Kane again, the one switching the ball to Olise. It becomes funny because he does it all the time and he does it great. So again, finding Olise, and take a look. This is very difficult to defend. You see Chelsea, who is a quite good team defending. See how already Leimer anticipates this. Cucurella steps out to Olise. At the end, he stops, but he's already late. And Olise has this quality to find, with the great timing, the Leimer run, and this ends up in a clear chance against Chelsea. One more, the last one. We see Leimer again in the half space, receiving, well moving to give a passing line option. Great movement. And take a look how he drives inside. and gives this wall pass with Luis Diaz, connects, and there's a lot of space for him to attack. This is something common. We've seen before Stanisic also. This is very common in Bayern, no? The fullbacks arriving dynamically to help the attacks. In modern football, the wall pass is always difficult to defend, especially when teams go man-to-man press. And if you do it well, of course, the risk when you do the wall pass that they can intercept. But yeah, it's a great tool in modern football. I have seen a lot in wide zones, especially because the risk if you lose the ball there is less dangerous. Let's continue now with the sixth concept. Let's talk about their goal kicks, their build-up, especially from this kind of situation. I think they have slightly changed a bit from last season. They are going a bit more direct. Also, the stats suggest this just a bit, not a big change. Also, in Bundesliga, I think in many situations they are probably able to play short and combine in this kind of goal kicks. But we can say in this game against Dortmund, first of all, we see that Dortmund goes aggressively in a man-to-man situation. We can see it. And Dortmund is one of the best teams in Bundesliga. But first, I want to focus on the positioning of the centre backs. We can see it here. How one centre back moves out of the box to drag in this case, Girassi with him, the Dortmund striker, and create a 2v1 situation, simplifying as much as possible this kind of build-up situation, because the Dortmund's player, Adeyemi, I think if I'm not wrong, is the one stepping to the center back and to the goalkeeper, and they try to create a 2v1 in this kind of situation. Let's see. Center back starts with the ball. Obviously, the idea is that once you play Neuer, then we see how there's a 2v1, how Adeyemi will step to press Neuer, and how Kimmich and Pavlovic, if I'm not wrong, how they move very fast to play this third man. So in this case, Ta will become the free player if Neuer is able to play with Kimmich and then play with Ta. I think that in this case, for example, Neuer decides to play long, which I was quite surprised, because I think on this kind of situation, Bayern could find the free player. Obviously, in a picture, in an image, it's easier to see it than in the field. But in this case, I think it was a good situation for Bayern to progress short and find Ta, but Neuer decides to go long. They end up winning the second ball. Take a look how Kane wins the second ball and ends up switching play with Boy in the half space, the full half space fullback we spoke before. And this case, again, the same with the center backs, but now the opposite. Now it's Upamecano coming close to Neuer, and it's Ta, the one moving up. In this case, Dortmund prefers that the one who steps to two players actually is Adeyemi, and they try to create this 2v1, make it a bit more longer for this for Adeyemi to step. What some teams are doing, which makes sense, is the player who has to handle this 2v1, in this case talking about Dortmund, is someone who can adjust if they find the free player. So, and this is important from Bayern. We'll speak about this later, because they use Nico Jackson for this. So in this case, if Bayern is able to find Upamecano free, which is the intention, I guess, then Adeyemi can adjust because he's a fast player. Again, same idea. The two midfielders dropping very fast and deep to play this third man concept. But Neuer makes the control already outside and ends up playing long, more direct. We can see how he finds Kane. Of course, a great ball. And Kane has the quality to do this, which is amazing that you because many teams, when they play this kind of direct balls, they might lose the second ball. But in this case, Kane can do something like this and find again, in this case, Leimer inside, the fullback. So this is like common patterns from Bayern in goal kicks, which I think they are now going a bit more direct. Let's go about transitions. It's also very interesting to see their transition. We see Bayern is defending in this situation against Dortmund very deep. They recover the ball, and we will see clear intentions. You can see here Kane, Luis Diaz, and Olise, which are for me the key players in this transition moment. Kane receiving, so the idea of Bayern, the first pass, they always try to find Kane. This is the first priority for them in this kind of situation. And Luis Diaz and Olise, they run to the space. It makes sense with the players' qualities. And Kane has obviously a fantastic delivery for this kind of counterattacks. Look how Luis Diaz receives, how Olise already overlaps. And this one was a great tackle from Slotterbeck, which is a center back that I like a lot, to be honest. But took risks because, well, tackling in the box, we all know it can become a penalty, but he did it well. Another example, again same. Take a look. Kane, Luis Diaz. In this case, Luis Diaz haven't dropped into the back line, so he's ready for the transition. And the first priority again is find Kane. In this case, they don't find him; he just collects the ball from there. But yeah, Kane is in a deeper position now. We can see Kane defending also in more deep position in many situations, which helps for this kind of transitions to find him and to start this offensive transition. And we see how this ball is only him can put only him in this wall can put this kind of ball to Luis Diaz, and then look at Olise run to arrive from the second line, and a bit lucky, but also great effort to tackle there and score a goal for Dortmund. It's not the best goal for Olise probably, but yeah, it's funny how he ended up scoring, but the effort he made to arrive late into the box was great. So now let's talk about defending. It will be interesting to talk about this because I have seen also some differences compared to last season. Let's say like this. First of all, I want to talk about Kimmich's role because it's very important nowadays in modern football. Kimmich is the one that helps them move from more from a 4-2-4, 4-2-3-1, if you want to say it, to a more 5-4-1. So he's the one many times deciding, hey, the opposition, Dortmund is putting 5 players in the last line against the 4 defenders, so I will draw that we have equal numbers in our first line, in the Bayern's defensive line. Take a look. Kimmich stays there, defends this half space, so the fullback, this allows the fullback to press more aggressively, and you don't need to move the center back from there. And then is Kane, which I said before, that he's dropping a bit more deep, and it's Nico Jackson the one staying in front. Take a look, because this is a 5-4-1 from Bayern with the 2 center backs more central, with Kimmich in between right fullback and right center back, and with Kane dropping deep more as a midfielder in this 5-4-1. They switch play, and Leimer can be more aggressive because the back line, the distances in the back line, they can cover better the width, and you see that Kimmich now moves from the position he was before, because he feels that in this kind of situation maybe he can help more the team between the 2 center backs in this case. So Kimmich he's smart enough to understand. Bayern was already doing this last season. This is not kind of new, but yeah, I think it's important to to talk about Kimmich and his role, because it's very important to know when to drop to the back line and when not. When Bayern really needs a back five and when not. And Kimmich is smart enough to understand this kind of situation. But Bayern has another solution, and that's why I think they added also Luis Diaz, because they are a bit more unpredictable and they have more options to defend in this five-back line. And in this case, is Luis Diaz the one dropping to the back line? It's true that in this case you can tell me, yeah, Ruxi, but Cucurella is more deep. He's not attacking, and in this case, I think it's Malo Gusto is higher up. Yeah, but from what I have seen in the games I have seen, I think they prefer that Luis Diaz drops deep into the back five and then Olise stays higher up. I think Luis Diaz is better in this defensive effort than Olise, and in this case, you can keep Kimmich more centrally and Kane in front, and in this case it's Gnabry who comes more and drops a bit deeper. No, Gnabry is like the second striker for Bayern. This is also another option that they do to defend, but at the end it's the same. It's a 5-4-1. And it's important because we've seen in this situation how Chelsea has three players between the lines. So these three players can be taken by the two center backs and the left back. So Luis Diaz has to help here to defend with Malo Gusto. Another example. Take a look how Kimmich, how Olise steps out to the center back. This is more of a man-to-man situation, basically, that we will speak now later about how Bayern defends into man-to-man. But it's also adapted man-to-man, so that Kimmich goes into this right half, because, as we spoke before, it's also a zone where he feels comfortable with the ball. He's used also to play right back, and he can help the team a lot in this phase, but he's connected. I always say that defense and attack are connected, and in this case, that's why Kimmich usually takes the ball on those spaces, because it's also related to defense. So then, if the team loses the ball, Kimmich is closer to this position where he will defend. We can see again, Bayern doesn't want to have one player less in the last line. Like Dortmund has 5 players. We can see the wing back, the two strikers, one advanced midfielder, and Meka, I think is his name, and then the right wing back. So they have like it's a 5 against 5 in this case, and we can see Kane also dropping deep. And this is what I was talking about Nico Jackson. I think it's an important signing too, especially taking in consideration the efforts he can make, because Bayern, they are playing in a man-to-man high press, the next concept we'll talk about. But yeah, when Jackson steps to the goalkeeper, he has the energy enough to handle this 2v1 situation. So to step to the goalkeeper, but at the same time, if they find the center back free, he can readjust, so he can come back, track back this center back, and can help Bayern to apply good pressure. Because imagine if it's Kane the one who has to do this, it's a big effort for a player like Kane to step to the goalkeeper and then go back to the free center back. And yeah, with Nico Jackson can do this, and you can keep Kane in more deeper positions, more safe, and can from there. When you recover the ball, Kane, I think, is a bit also more dangerous to keep this last pass, no? Let's say like this. You see how they end up getting the ball. But let's talk now about the man-to-man high press. Everyone has been talking about Bayern's man-to-man high press. We can see here. Take a look at Ta here following Dembele very far. We can see, same we spoke before, Luis Diaz dropping with Hakimi. Look how Kimmich needs to follow Vitinha very far. Look how Upamecano is stepping up. Also, I don't know if in this case it's Nuno Mendes, the PSG fullback, modern football. And they end up getting the ball. You can see, which is funny here, both Ta and Upamecano so out of position. And the one covering the space in behind for them is, in this case, Stanisic, who is following the PSG's winger. Of course, man-to-man has some risks, but also some advantages. Is that when you recover the ball, you have a 1v1 situation in front with your front three players. So it's a 3v3 against PSG defenders. And well, if you have a situation of 3v3 with players like Gnabry, Kane, and Olise, it's not a bad deal for Bayern. So they assume the risk of going to a man-to-man. To them, they have scored a lot of goals in this kind of fast attacks after recovering the ball in a man-to-man high press. Take a look. The detail from Gnabry to find Olise. This is high class, of course, but Bayern has this kind of players, we all know. And then check Luis Diaz, and ends up in a goal against PSG, in which was a big game. Another example, against Chelsea, we see the man-to-man high press. We can see here how Chelsea, they end up like leaving a big gap. We can speak about this another day, about when a team used the goalkeeper in a back four, because we can see the big gap between, because the goalkeeper at the end, he cannot defend forward. So there is a big gap here between the two Chelsea centre backs, because this player here, White, is the centre back, and in this kind of games, they can punish you. We can see how Bayern does it. Kane gets the ball there, and Kane is in a 1v1 almost situation, or not even in a 1v1, because he finished the action before that. So yeah, that's another goal that they score from this fast transition. Again, what we spoke about, man-to-man, clear man-to-man in this kind of 5-4-1, but well, it's a man-to-man, so the structure is not important. And we see what I spoke before, no? How Jackson steps to the goalkeeper, but then tracks back to the center. And has this energy to apply pressure, because you can track back, but in time, the special thing is that he does it on time. Bayern is able to recover the ball again. And then there's a 2v2, even Nico Jackson, if you want to add him. And we see Luis Diaz. Take a look at Luis Diaz. How he moved. Already in this diagonal, he anticipates the gap, the big gap between the Dortmund centre backs. He anticipates this. Kane recovers the ball, which we spoke about, that Kane has a great pass forward. Great pass for Luis Diaz. Great touch to find Olise again. And this is a clear chance. Olise then doesn't end up scoring a goal, but we see it again, because this is very interesting one. Luis Diaz, find Olise, and almost a goal. And last one. This one also is very interesting, because I have read some people criticizing a bit this about Bayern, and that this can be the issue that can make them suffer, especially on Champions League. In Bundesliga, maybe there's no issue, but yeah, it's to be honest, I admire coaches like Company, which are very brave in their counter press, and they are already okay to handle man-to-man situations in their rest defense. Yeah, I understand it can be a bit dangerous, but especially in Champions League. But at the same time, I like to watch it. We will see. They have centre backs to do so, especially Upamecano. I'm not sure about that. We will see if he's tested in this kind of big games. But yeah, I will explain now the idea of Bayern. We can see the first idea when they lose the ball is to counter press fast with the closest player going to close down the player in the ball. We see this very clear, Leitner, Kimmich both, and we see how Bayern assumes a man-to-man. They are okay on this. Even high-class players like Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto, and Joao Pedro, which are also very, very fast, especially, for example, Pedro Neto or Joao Pedro. But they assume this, and they end up getting the ball. Of course, it could be also a transition in with 1v1 situations in front, but they end up taking the ball. Another example. Here, it's true that it's not a positional attack, it's more like coming from a transition before, but we see how Bayern commits a lot of players forward. We can see even I don't know if it's the left fullback, I think, attacking, and how Bayern is in a situation even with a player less in this transition. And this one, great job from Caicedo. I think Bayern, maybe here they lack a bit of physicality with players like Olise or Kimmich. We can say this if you want, but they are in good positions to recover the ball back. You see the counter press is good from both, from I think is Olise and from Kimmich. But here they lack maybe a bit of physicality. Caicedo can find Palmer, and we see Ta to focus on the man-to-man situation to stop his run, but forgets about zonal defending. He just goes and tries to stop his man, and this opens a lot of space for Palmer to drive in, which we are talking about world-class team and a world-class player like Palmer. This ends up in a goal. This is an issue, of course, they can have in this kind of games, no, in Champions League games like against Chelsea. Another example, we see again Bayern attacking the box with many players. We can see here a pass back with a kind of a Escadinha and a Cortaluz, no? So they create a diagonal between 3-4 players, and the second player in this case is lets the ball run between his legs, and we can see great save, by the way, from Robert Sanchez. But then man-to-man situation again, taking risk, being brave. Pavlovic ends up with a bad control, but then they stop play and they don't recover the ball. But well, they don't concede a transition, let's say like this. Another example, this in this game against Dortmund, we see they have something I like is that they have many players around the box, not only attacking the box, but also around the box. So this helps them for the counter press. I think a mistake some teams make is that they attack the box with many players, but then they forget about the space in front of the box, and this they concede transitions from that. But we see in this case how they are well protected, but they are still assuming a 1v1 situation with the two Dortmund strikers, with Adeyemi and Guirassy, are quite dangerous in big spaces. We see the counter press again and the man-to-man situation. It's very clear. Both, I think Dortmund was a bit looking for this, and this kind of teams that can create problems for Mainz, but as we see in this example, there's a handball and they end up recovering the ball. So there are many situations that they recover the ball and they do the counter press well, but yeah, against top teams players, of course, they can suffer. We have seen it against Chelsea. So yeah, I would like to continue seeing a bit about Bayern. Last week we put a thread on Twitter, and yeah, this week I'm recording this. They draw against Union Berlin. It's incredible. Every time we analyze the team, they start losing games. But yeah, of course. Anyway, Bayern they have been amazing. These 16 wins in a row. It's incredible. Of course, they have a great team. We all know. I think they have improved what they were doing last season. I think they added small things in there and some players' qualities that they are important. For me, are one of the best right now. I'm trying to say that without looking to the results. So I think they had improved small things. They are going a bit more direct, but also this idea of dropping the two strikers, how they use the fullbacks, the Kane's deeper role, the pressing system, adding players like Nico Jackson or like Luis Diaz can help them a lot in transitions. I think with Luis Diaz and Kane delivering, I think they are even more dangerous. I think they are also trying to improve in this mid block, low block, very little times, but low block sometimes in this 5-4-1, no, which is very difficult to attack. And yeah, I think they are a great team to watch. Also, they have world class players, and it will be interesting to see. I think they shouldn't have problem to win the Bundesliga, which is not easy. It's never easy to win a league in any country. For me, it's always you play 11 against 11, and of course Bayern has great players, but it's not easy to consistently win. And yeah, I would like to see how they continue to play in Champions League. I would like to see how their man-to-man high press is tested and their counter press, their risks in these 1v1 situations for transitions. And yeah, I hope you like it. I remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like me to analyze any other team that you think can be interesting. Not only the big teams from the big leagues, also can be other. Last week we did Mjällby, a video that has already more than 4,000 views. So yeah, let me know if you have any team to analyze. Give us a like, subscribe, and hopefully join also our community. We have more than 100 coaches already inside, where we share many things. We share many things, like also short clips about individual, collective, and even set piece trends. And every day more people are joining. So yeah, you can go to our website and join this project if you want. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. See you guys.